Second grade, we travel the world looking at art throughout the world. This time, we're going to go to a remote place right smack dab in the Pacific Ocean. This place is called Easter Island. What's so special about Easter Island, you ask? Well, it's a very green island that was once inhabited by Polynesian tribes. I mean, it's surrounded by the blue waters of the Pacific Ocean. Very, very peaceful, right? Right? Wait a minute. What is that? What is so special about Easter Island is that it is home to plenty of these statues. These statues are peculiar because they are massive structures. Well, these massive structures were put together thousands of years ago. Like these tall, heavy structures carved out of stone were placed on the island, thousands of years ago, were placed on the island in particular ways thousands of years ago. These massive structures, they're heavy. They're all facing out towards the ocean, looking out onto the ocean. They were particularly placed that way thousands of years ago. What were they used for? Why were they there? No one really knows. But the bigger question is, how did they get there? Back then, there were no cranes, no trucks to haul them, no massive heavy machinery. These massive structures are heavy. How could they move them into very particular spots? Some also say these statues were used as a defense against incoming tribes or sailors, an intimidation tactic. Seeing these large statues as you come up onto the shore could be alarming to someone. Like, maybe they'd think twice about coming onto the island. So what you're going to do is you're going to pretend that you are an inhabitant or that you live on the island. You're going to build statues that scare away incoming tribes or sailors. Something that they would see coming up onto shore and maybe want to turn around. What would your statues look like? Would they be scary? Maybe like a skull? Would they have horns? Or maybe you want to make an island with statues that are welcoming. Would it be a welcoming unicorn? Maybe a nice cat? I don't know. Choice is yours. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what we have here is we have our piece of clay. We have our about a baseball-sized piece of clay here. And what we need is a couple things here. First, you want a good solid surface to work on this. You don't want it to be able to stick to really anything. So if you have a wood surface, maybe like a table or something like that, you can work on it on a table, put a piece of cardboard down. But you're going to want to have a carving tool. Now this is a professional carving tool that I have from school, but you can use something like toothpicks, you can use a sharpened pencil, anything that helps you get good carves right there. You're also going to want to have a cup of water, okay? This is important because if the clay gets too dry, you're going to want to have some water to kind of dampen it back up. Now, if I'm working with this, you don't want to pour the water right on it, okay? How I re-administer some water to the clay is I just take a little like this, rub my hands like this, and then kind of work it back into the clay this way. Because if you dump this right onto it, you'd have sopping wet mud and it'd be really hard to work with. Now that I have my clay, I'm going to do the most important thing that I can do with a piece of clay, and that's wedge. Wedging clay is the most important thing you can do. Why? Inside this block of clay, there is tiny air bubbles. Well, there's gigantic ones I can see, but there's tiny little ones. If you sculpted up the most beautiful sculpture in the world and you sent it to me and I dried it out and I put it in the kiln, it would probably blow up. And the reason why it blows up is those air bubbles. Under intense heat, like the kiln, the kiln's basically an oven, it builds up energy. And that energy needs to find a way out. And so what it does is it explodes your piece. Not like boom, you know, blows up the whole kiln, but like enough force to break your piece. And that's kind of a bummer when that happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to wedge it so it properly does not have any air bubbles and it will not explode. Most of you are going to grab your clay and going to do this right away. So just a reminder, how you wedge is you're going to hold it about this high above your, I'd say just a little over a foot, a little under a foot. You're going to just kind of with your wrist, not your arm, with your wrist, you're going to just drop it and you're going to pick it up. You see that little flick that I'm doing with my wrist like this? Every time I drop it, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to turn it. And I'm going to hit it on a new side. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I get something cube-esque. It doesn't have to be a perfect cube, but something cube-esque, something that resembles a cube. And I don't want it to have any cracks on the side, any cracks at all. You can see as I'm dropping it down, I am flipping, I'm turning, and voila. We are getting minimal cracks on the side here. This is a wedged piece right here. I can get started on my project. Alright, so in my wedged piece of clay here, what we need to do is we need to think about how am I going to turn this into a sculpture. So what I said we're going to do is we are going to make this into a sculpture resembling the Easter Island statues. Now I asked you, if you were on an island and you had other people coming to this island and you wanted them to stay away and you had to scare them away with statues, what would your statues look like? Now, there's a couple rules we need to follow. First, any clay that you take away, you cannot put back on. If I took the clay like this and I pushed it back on there just like that, there's an air bubble underneath that. Can't do that. So I'm just going to wedge that out real quick. So you can't connect things to this clay. You can only take away. And this style is called relief. Relief sculpture means we're taking away. So what I'm going to do here, now that it's wedged, I'm going to take it with my two hands like this and I'm going to plop it down on my surface. And I'm going to create what's called a base. A base allows my sculpture to stay freestanding, meaning it won't fall over. So I'm just going to start carving into here. I'm just going to start sculpting, sorry, not carving, with my hand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to press with my thumbs, I'm going to press up, just like this. Kind of creating, you can see it, it's starting to look kind of like a neck right here, okay? Okay, so there I have a base, there I have a neck, and there I have, you know, the top of my sculpture. Now, you do not need to follow this. You can basically work it the same, any way you want to. Remember, it's your island. You're scaring away your intruders. So, I am thinking now, if I am going to create something to scare away intruders, what am I going to make it look like here? So I'm going to take my carving tool here. I'm going to first, carve, or I keep saying carve, I mean push. I'm going to push in where I want my eyes to be, okay? I know that's where I want my eyes to be. But I'm going to think kind of, I'm going to go the scary route here. So, make it look scary. People come to my island, they're going to be freaked out. They're going to be so freaked out. You don't even know. You don't even know. So I think I'm going to go with like a skull. Skulls are always fun to do. So I'm carving out the area where the nose would be. Again, you don't have to go this scary route. I've had students before that they want people to come to their islands. They want to be welcoming. They want, people to come to their island and feel like they can come just hang out. I'm using the back end of here just to kind of give it a little different look right there. You can see there's my nose coming out there. And I'm carving, you can see right here, I'm carving kind of the mouth area, just like that. Trying to keep my hands out of the way here. Right up there. We're gonna go like a smile, so it's gonna be kind of like the Joker from Batman. Like, he's a happy guy, but it's also kind of scary. I'm gonna give him his teeth. I'm gonna carve that teeth right in there, just like that. Boom. Add that in. Alright, alright, alright. You know what, he's gonna be... See these little pieces of clay that get stuck in my carve? I'm gonna just kind of pull them out and kind of wipe them to the side, but I'm gonna actually remove my tooth right there. That looks pretty sweet. I always love doing this project just because it's fun to kind of do these little examples like that. Oh man, that's sweet. And it's just fun to just kind of think, if I was, a native inhabitant of Easter Island, I'm going to carve in the eyes right now. If I was a native inhabitant of Easter Island, I would totally look to scare these people. Now I'm using the back end of this, so you can use, a pencil eraser top or something like that to push the clay in. I'm going to kind of swirl it around a little bit. That gives it kind of like a smooth surface. Just try not to take the clay and work over top. You know what I'm saying? By pushing clay down. So, there. Pretty sweet. Yeah, not bad. You want to make sure too that whatever you're doing, it stays standing on its base. I'm getting a little lopsided here, so I'm going to make sure that it stays standing. I'm going to carve some ears for this bad boy. Look at that bad boy. I'm going to give him like little ears like that. Little ear spots like this. And then, for anybody that knows The Rock, I'm going to give him the people's eyebrow. Just like that. Alright, so you can literally make any kind of statue head that you want. Whatever you need to do to welcome people to your island, to scare away people from your island. When you're done, you want to make sure that it is freestanding. You want to make sure that on the base that your name is legible. Legible means you can read. You can read what it says. If you need mom or dad to do that just to make sure, sweet. I'm going to wrap this in paper towel, damp paper towel. I'm going to put it back in the bag, and then I'm going to write my name on the bag with my class, just so I can be double sure that Mr. Rodriguez knows whose this is. I'm so stoked to see what you guys come up with here. So send me photos. I will see you guys when you hand these back. Please send me photos of you guys working, your finished piece, and then I'll see you when you hand it in, and we'll fire it, and this is going to be sweet. So good luck. Have fun.